Hello everyone, Kamots here. In this video I'm going to be installing this chi coil into this ODROID-GO Advance, and this will be very similar to the video I made for the original ODROID-GO showing how to put in the chi coil for it. I do want to note, if you try this, you are trying it at your own risk, so please be careful. Don't blame me if you blow up your device. Triple check everything. Keep that in mind as we go through this process. So I'm going to take this apart off camera and get my soldering iron set up, and then we'll get started. Okay, so as you can see, I have everything laid out, soldering iron, solder, and what we're going to do is solder two leads, which I have here, from the chi coil to the DC in connection right here, and I will put a little inlay picture to show you a better shot of it, and the P2 connection here. So you can see in the picture that I have on screen a closer view of DC-in and P2. They're pretty much right next to each other on the board. P2 is going to be the negative connection or ground, and DC-in is going to be your 5 volts input. I have seen in a couple other guides where people solder right to this shield, and I really don't recommend doing that. The shield here and their solder points on the sides are designed for strength. You don't really want to mess up that plug. So I don't recommend soldering to any of these ground points that are also structural. Definitely use the P2 connection here. It's not structural for the most part. It has all these other pins to rely on. And again, it's right next to the DC in that you want to hit anyway. You don't want to use DC out, and you definitely want to be careful not to bridge DC in and DC out together. And no, before you ask, you cannot hook up the chi coil to these contacts. This is expecting maybe 4.2 volts maximum. If you put 5 volts into that, it's probably going to break something. More than likely it will permanently damage the charge circuitry on the board. There's a chip that handles all of the power delivery to the board, and that chip will probably be damaged if you did that. So to start out, I recommend cutting your wire first. I put this nice little ruler here from Adafruit. You can see the length that I cut is just over 12 centimeters and just under 5 inches. Even though that's a little bit longer than what you actually need, it allows you to go through this process and, possibly mess something up and have to desolder things, maybe cut the wire back again and try again. It doesn't matter if you end up having excess, you can just kind of loop it in like I did with this wire. Okay, so let's get the soldering iron heated up where we're at there. So that's a couple millimeters worth of wire sticking out there. So I'm going to solder the negative lead first. Tin it real quick. Alright. We'll take solder and add a bit of solder to the connection on the board, just to give us a little bit more room to deal. That might actually be a little long, but that's all right. Oh, we bridged that test point. Oh, fail. So now I'm going to take care of the DC-in connection. Okay. So now we'll just take some alcohol and clean that up a little bit since it kind of looks like garbage. Do all that nasty flux. So there is the connection, and I'll put a little inlay picture here for you. So the next part, we'll go ahead and split this. Sorry about the sudden change in scenery, but I had to have a couple extra hands to get this last part done. So I'm soldering the ground connection to GND, which is ground. And then I'm going to bring the positive connection up to the plus 4V connection, which is where we want it. Trying to get that on there as best we can. It's not my best work, but it'll do. Get this tiniest bit of flux out. Just use this to hold it. Lovely. And lovely. Let me just rearrange everything and I'll be right back. So we can actually use the same connection I was using before for the soldering iron for this charging pad. Make sure the light lights. It does. And let's see if this works. We want to be looking out for the charge connection there. There it is. And it works. So with that, we have a successful connection. So now the hard part is getting it into the case without causing damage or shorting anything out. So we're going to do that next. So the first thing we're going to do is take that off. We need to be careful about this coil. It is really important that the actual coil stays exactly as it is. We're going to just fold that wire back like that. And then I'm going to fold the electronics back like that. So that the coil can maintain its shape as closely as possible to the original shape. Just like that. We're going to put a piece of electrical tape right across there to make sure that stays put and also doesn't short out. So I'll get my electrical tape. We'll go with red because why not? It's what's here and handy. And this is the tape that I'm using, is this Scotch electrical tape. It works very well. So we're going to cut off about double and a half of the length of this. I'm going to put it there. To cover up the entire main board. Make sure the coil is still in the exact same shape that it was. Get that a little bit more in the frame. And fold it over just like that. So now we have a nice connection there. And we're going to, like I said before, put that in right here. Now it is going to cover up some of the ventilation, but because this chip does not get that hot, I'm not that worried about it. Plus, I think this is going to be plenty of airflow for the unit. So now, I'm going to take a piece of this, and if you're really careful and don't get your fingerprints on it, then it'll still look pretty okay. And then take the module, maybe wipe the electrical tape a little bit, and just push it down into the tape. But like I said, be careful not to actually bend the coil. The coil needs to stay the exact same shape as it was originally. The shape and the turns of the coil are very important for a Qi coil to achieve the best efficiency when charging. So I am going to actually hook up the internal battery just to show you guys what this will look like at the end, even though I do have my little external battery cable hanging out here. I am going to connect the internal battery. And I did use kind of a firm wire. I don't recommend using this exact wire, but I did it mainly because it's color-coded, and that was kind of a request from when I did the original ODROID-GO, is to have more visible connections of what goes to positive and what goes to negative. Get that little piece of wire out of there. A couple little pieces of wire somehow. Alright, and then you just tuck in the cable. You don't have to worry too much about this cable here. Just tuck that in. Make sure nothing's pinched. Everything looks okay to me. Sorry. Okay. So you can see there's the rock chip main system on a chip, and you can have plenty of airflow. You got one vent down here, one vent up here with this position, and this Gorilla double-sided tape isn't going to go anywhere. That module is very lightweight. This is going to hold it pretty much forever. I did have a little bit sticking out here, which won't be a problem for you. But if it does bother you, you'll have this little flap here with these holes. And you can try to maybe fill those in with some kind of clear epoxy or something if you don't want dust to collect in there. But that is probably the best position that I could find for this. And of course you won't have this cable sticking out. So let's test it out here. We're going to just put the coil right on the pad. And there it goes. As you can see, it turned on, which means that it is charging. I wish I could actually show you the lights, but there are the lights down. Actually, hang on a second. Okay, so I just wanted to show all of you the charging actually working. And the only way to really do that is to log into the device and look at the status of the battery. And that's done with this little script that I wrote that every second it prints out the status, the current capacity, the voltage, and current of the battery. So I'll start running the script. And you can see that just sitting idle, it's taking between 382 to 456 milliamps out of the battery at its current voltage. All right, 457. And what we're going to do is put it on the pad, and you'll see that it charges. Now keep in mind that to charge the battery, it's got to take whatever power it can get from the charging device, in this case this Qi coil, supply what it needs to supply to the screen and the Wi-Fi adapter and the other, the processor obviously, and the other components inside of this. So about 455 milliamps right now. And then whatever's remaining is what it's going to put into the battery. So when we put this on the charge coil here, you're going to see it switches to charging. And then it's putting 76 milliamps into the battery. Well, now it's 247 milliamps into the battery. So that means that the Qi charge coil is giving the unit about 600 milliamps-ish. Just math in my head, right around there. I think it's rated for 500, but it's somewhere between 500 and 600 that it looks like it's providing. So the best way to charge with this wireless charging option is to have your unit off. And yes, I know the firmware in this currently turns it on, but what you can do is as soon as it comes on, you can just turn it off again by either holding the button or waiting till it boots and then shutting it down. Even when it's turned off, it will still continue to charge even though the light isn't lit. But it doesn't actually use up resources on running the CPU and running the screen and so on when it's charging. But there you have it. Wireless charging on an ODROID-GO Advance, just like on the original ODROID-GO. Just remember, if you do attempt this yourself, be careful. I'm not responsible for you damaging your device. You are working with the power inputs of this device. It is sensitive. You can fry it. Don't come running to me if you do that. Be very careful. Check your connections. Triple check them. Make sure while you're soldering in everything your battery is disconnected. Test it without the battery connected. And just be very careful. If you like this video though, and you want to see more like it, I know I haven't posted a lot of videos lately. I've been pretty busy with work, but hopefully I'll be able to do some more soon. Please subscribe to see those videos when they come out. It lets me know that people are interested in seeing more content. And feel free to throw some comments down in the comment section. I do like to hear from everyone, and I usually respond to comments. So thank you for watching. That's all for now.